Hi, my name is Celine and this is the very first episode of the Knitting is My Jam podcast. This is going to be a podcast predominantly about knitting with a little bit of crochet and cross stitch here and there. You can find me on the social medias on Instagram as Knitting is My Jam or on Ravelry as nzoriginal, both of which I will put in the description box down below this video. Just a little bit about me before we get into the heat of the episode. My name is obviously Celine, like I have said before. I am 21 years old and I am a marine biology student here in Tasmania, Australia, where I am coming to you from. Tasmania is a tiny little island on the bottom of Australia. In case you didn't know, we are technically part of Australia, yes indeed. And it is quite cold here today. It is coming into spring, but it is a balmy 9 degrees today and raining. So I thought we would start with what I am wearing today. I am wearing the Helga sweater by Emily Nora O'Neill. If that is incorrect, I will put it here on the screen. I knit mine out of a DK weight. It is called for an Aran weight. I made this out of a very first test hand dye that my mother did. It was originally lots of shades of green and she overdyed it with black. I will put in some cutaway footage about here to show you what it looks like on me, because then I don't have to do the very awkward podcaster stand up while you're meant to be sitting down kind of thing. I made a few modifications and that includes shortening the sleeves. The sweater pattern does call for long sleeves and obviously my gauge was considerably different because I knit mine out of DK weight, so the sweater is quite a bit tighter than it looks like in the pattern photos. It is a seamed sweater, so I did knit it in pieces and then seamed it up the sides. And it is a very versatile sweater in my opinion. We are coming into spring here in Tasmania and the 3/4 sleeves allow for nice sunshine but still to be kept warm. So because this is the very first episode of this podcast, I thought I would share with you one of my most recent finished makes, and that is my Beekeeper cardigan. This is the Beekeeper by Marie Green or Olive Knits. I do believe this was part of the very first 4-day sweater cowl. I did not knit this in 4 days. It is made out of Brooklyn Tweed Arbor in the Humpback colourway, which my parents gifted to me for Christmas. Some modifications that I made to my Beekeeper cardigan include shortening it. I'm sure you will have seen in the previous footage when showing you what I'm currently wearing that I am quite short. I'm only 5'4" and did not need the extra length in the cardigan. I also lengthened the sleeves to as long as I could get out of the yardage. I had the exact yardage for the pattern, but short sleeves or 3/4 length sleeves was not what I wanted for this cardigan. I also added buttons. This cardigan is designed to be open front and that didn't suit what I wanted it for, and especially here in Tasmania it gets quite windy, so open front cardigans just end up flying off you. I think that's all the modifications I made. It's an absolutely gorgeous cardigan. I love this yarn even though it is quite pricey. I believe that I met gauge with the recommended needle size, and these buttons are from Arrow Mountain, who is a Melbourne-based Etsy shop seller who I will definitely link down below. In terms of FO pictures, they are coming and you can check them out on my Instagram when they do show up. So now that we have discussed my very recent finished objects, I thought I would share with you what I am currently working on. I have been working on a lot of socks recently, so be warned, there is about 4 sock whips to show you today. My very first sock whip of the day is going to be my dad's socks. My parents have recently moved here to Australia and are experiencing one of their very first winters in a very long time, and thus they are quite cold. And so in response to that, I have decided to knit a couple pairs of socks for my parents. You'll see my mum's pair a little bit later on. These socks were born mainly because my dad got a pair of socks for me for Christmas and they were Christmas themed, but he has deemed them are not office appropriate, so to speak, because they are quite bright in Christmas colours. So in response to that, I have decided to knit him this pair of socks. This is the Vanilla Latte, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's this very great broken rib, so it still provides quite a bit of extra stretch, which my dad needs in his socks. I have knit these using a German short row heel. The contrast and heel and cuff are knit Pex Stroll in the Dove Heather colourway, and the self-striping yarn is Knit Pex Felici in the Stormy Skies. So that's the first one done. I do have the second one already on the needles. This is living in my Cloud Needle Cozy, which is from Coco and Flora, which I will put down in the description box below. I am past the heel on the second sock, just working my way up the leg as you go. I think I'm only about 5 straps away from completing the socks. My dad doesn't really like very tall socks. The progress keeper on here is from Lovebird Lane, which is an Australian maker based in Adelaide that is somewhat local to me, I would suppose. I am hoping to have these done for my dad by Father's Day here in Australia, which is this coming Sunday, September the 1st. Hopefully I will get them done in time. I don't see why I can't. The bag that I am hosting these in is my Tiny Human Knit bag. The tag is on this side. I will again put close-ups of everything that my camera doesn't quite focus on. This has got wonderful little woodland creatures on it doing camping and all manners of those kind of things, which is quite ironic because my dad absolutely hates being outdoors. But nevertheless, it is an absolutely wonderful bag. I use it all the time. It is especially great for lecture knitting in my university, and hopefully I will get these done by Father's Day. My second sock width is also a half finished object. This is my Clark Socks by Jacqueline Salem, who is the host of the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. It has this wonderful cable down the front with these pearl accents and a wonderful little cable also down the back. My progress keeper is from Hint of Happiness. It's this tiny little donut charm cupcake. She is a new to me polymer clay designer and maker and new on Etsy, so I'll be putting a link down to her shop as well in case you feel like supporting her. This is knit out of Olan, which is, I believe, a hand dyer in Ireland, which I picked up at Skein Sisters in Sydney when I was last there. This is their Sock Light in the Dusk colourway, which is a absolutely wonderful mauve with dark brown and orangey toned speckles. And here is the beginning of the second one. These are knit on my ChiaoGoo 9-inch circulars 2.25. I knit all my socks on ChiaoGoo's 2.25, whether it is magic loop or 9-inch circulars, unless I state otherwise or have a massive change in gauge. I think I will always continue to do so. The project bag that this is living in is my Knitting Goddess I Love a Good Fingering bag. This is one of her older ones that is made out of cotton. I believe the new ones are made out of linen. Very sturdy bag, but only appropriate for knitters who get the joke. Otherwise, you get a few strange looks at university for carrying this around. So my third sock whip of today is living in my Bold Yarns bag, which is a local to me hand dyer and bag maker. That is Sarah and Jan, who are based here in Tasmania. And like I said before, I am studying marine biology, and so I absolutely love it when I can have little marine animals on bags. It's like a little piece of my degree that goes with me, and is always a hit when I knit at university. So in here are a pair of socks for my mum. These are knit out of Lovebird Lane, which I have mentioned previously is a hand dyer here in Australia, based in Adelaide. This is one of her self-striping colourways. This is what it looks like. It's this very gorgeous striper that has white or cream in between all the layers and stripes of yellow, red, quite a dark green and a very bright plum. My progress keeper on here is a little hedgehog that is from the Corner of Craft, which is Hannah, who is also here on YouTube. And I am knitting the Heel Toe Do-Si Do pattern by Kay Litton, which is the Crazy Sock Lady, also here on YouTube. Quite a few podcasts have also got shops and pans, which I've found is quite lovely. This is what it looks like in the cake. This is on her glitzy sock. So there is Stellina, and it is absolutely wonderful. My mum is also a hand dyer, like I have previously mentioned, and I believe she has dyed a red mini, so that when I do the heel, I will have a coordinating mini. I'm just waiting for that to arrive in the post, and then I can knit the heel for my mum. My fourth and final sock whip for the day is living in this bag, which is a tulip pink fabric that my mum picked up at the last quilt show. It has these wonderful jellyfish on it. I then made this bag using the same pattern that my mum uses, minus all the extras, mainly because I was too lazy to put them in. Living in this bag is my Biscotte Yarns project. This is Biscotte Yarns in their Biz sock in the blue tang colourway. These socks have been affectionately named the Dory colourway, which is from Pixar. I picked this yarn up at the same quilt show, funny enough. They had a few knitting vendors there, which I really appreciated, and I picked this up. It is currently just a tube. I'm going to put in a afterthought heel, but I don't count that as a half object yet because it's not complete. The second one is currently just a tiny nub of a toe. When I knit magic loop, I prefer toe up socks. When I knit on my 9-inch circulars, I prefer cuffed down. And I have a coordinating mini here. This is just a navy, which matches the navy stripes of the socks. So my last sock whip, you'll be happy to know, is not actually a sock whip, it is just a regular whip. And this is living in my Daleks bag, which my mum made me. This is my mum's logo right there, and my very helpful camera helper nods to me to say it's focused, which it is. This has got wonderful snaps in it, which is really great if you do colour work, which I do occasionally love to do. It has this massive pocket in the middle there where you can store your notions. So like I said, I'll be putting my mum's shop down below too. I am her #1 supporter, so do recognise that you will get a lot of her wonderful bags on this podcast. So I am knitting what doesn't look like a cardigan just yet. This is going to be the Marion cardigan by Andy Satterland. I will put somewhere on the screen what it looks like because you cannot get the gist of it from this alone. I have just knit the back piece. I'm waiting to pick up the front pieces before I join under the arms. This is knit out of Plucky Knitter in their trusty base. It is a worsted weight in, I believe, what is called the Laugh Out Loud colourway. Do apologise for the messiness of my cake. I am knitting these not on Chow Goose, funny enough, but on my Knitter's Pride Marvels interchangeables. These are my 5mm ones, which are those very pretty blue. They are absolutely great needles. I love knitting on them, especially for on planes. This yarn in particular really reminds me of the Wool Kitchen Champagne Supernova, I believe is what it's called. But this tends to have quite a few more darker tones in it. So I hope to have this done by the time spring rolls around. in full swing. It's going to be very nice. It is a 3/4 length and I think it's going to be very perfect for that kind of weather. So now we are going to move on to some acquisitions. I don't have too many acquisitions, just 2 things to show you. One of which is another charm from Hint of Happiness, which I will be putting a close-up of. It is this tiny baby Eeyore cupcake, which I love. I have showed this on my Instagram on a project that I have thus then frogged. That is the poser cowl. I realised that my stitch count was off and I couldn't complete the lace. So I will be recasting that on once I get my dad's socks finished for Father's Day. But until then, this is going to be waiting until that is recast on. My very last acquisition happens to be a yarny acquisition. I have seen all over Instagram people using this yarn, and in the end I decided I had to bite the bullet and try it myself. The pattern that I'm going to be knitting is going to be a cherry blossom cardigan pattern. I believe it is by a Scandinavian designer. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Again, I will put a picture somewhere up on the screen of what it looks like and the designer's name. And I am knitting this out of Holst yarn. This is going to be my very first steeped project, but also my very first 4 colours colourwork project. I know that people have done duplicate stitching for the centres of the flowers and the branches. I have not decided if I'm going to try and do that yet. I might try the 4-stranded colourwork first and see how that goes and what my gauge is like. The main colour is going to be this one on the bottom, which I believe is crocus. The flowers centres is going to be damask, which is this one here. The branches is going to be coffee, and the flower petals is going to be sugar snap. I'm very excited to try this yarn. It feels super woolly and super like lanolin, but I'm excited to see how this goes. I think that's going to be all from me today. I certainly hope that you will join me on the second episode and that you enjoyed the first. I would love to hear any of your comments and suggestions for how I can make this better and what other things you would love to see on this podcast in the future. And I certainly hope to be seeing you the next episode.